Hi guys, as I'm sure you can tell by the title of this video, this isn't going to be the usual kind of video. This video is going to be very raw, very real. I feel like I need to share with you guys what's been going on in our lives the last couple of weeks. It's not happy news, but I feel like I need to share it with you. I don't want to keep anything from you. I feel like if I can at least help and encourage one person out there, then I've done my job. I have no plan for this video. I haven't written anything down. I haven't thought about it too much, so I'm just gonna kind of talk about what happened. I'm gonna tell you our story. So if you follow me on Instagram, and as you can tell by the title of this video, you probably already know that we are currently going through a miscarriage. By the time you see this, it will all have been over. Obviously, this is still very new news to us, and it's still very raw. I've cried a lot in the past few days. I know miscarriages are very common, so I know many of you have gone through it. Lots of you have experienced it. And I just want to let you know that I'm praying for you. I know exactly how you feel. And just know that you're not alone. You hear about miscarriages all the time, but you don't really know or understand what it's like until you actually go through it, and it is really heartbreaking. And by the title of this video, you're probably wondering what a chemical pregnancy is, because I don't know if a lot of people have heard of it before. I know I hadn't heard about it before, so I wanted to kind of inform you guys about that as well. So a chemical pregnancy, I wasn't diagnosed with it or anything, but according to all my research that I've done and the events that took place, I'm 99% sure that is what happened. So a chemical pregnancy actually affects a lot of women, and I'll leave an article down below so you can read more about it. But basically, the fertilized egg never attaches to the uterus and therefore never grows. Because there is a fertilized egg, the body will start producing HCG, which is the hormone that the pregnancy tests go by. But with a chemical pregnancy, obviously the miscarriage is very early on. So we had a very early miscarriage, and for that I am thankful that it was an early miscarriage and that it wasn't like when we were 13 weeks along or anything like that, because that would have been so much more heartbreaking. Although this has been really heartbreaking in itself. I never experienced any real symptoms aside from a late period, and it was only a few days late before everything started happening. Honestly, if I had never taken a test, we never would have known. I would have just thought that my period came a couple days late, and I would never have known that we were actually pregnant. I don't understand why God made me take that pregnancy test that day, because it would have saved us a whole lot of heartache and emotions, but I know there's a reason for it. I just don't understand what that reason is, because I know that everything happens for a reason. I guess I'm just going to start from the beginning, and I'm going to tell you our story from when we found out we were pregnant. So on Thursday, I think it was Thursday, July 12th, it was a few days after Eloise's birthday, I had ordered pregnancy tests, like the really cheap strips off of Amazon, just because pregnancy tests are pretty expensive, so I thought for the future it would be nice to have these cheap ones. I didn't know how they worked because they're just the little strips and not an actual pregnancy stick, so I was curious as to how they worked, and I tested it out, fully not expecting to see a faint line. And I went back a few minutes later just to see how it worked, if it worked, and there was a faint line, and I was shocked. And at this point I pulled out our vlogging camera because I thought, well, maybe this is actually real, and if it is, then I should be vlogging this. Okay guys, I do not know what to think about this, but I just took a pregnancy test and there was a faint line. Do you see that? I don't know if it's just because it's a cheap test. I don't know what to think about this. I'm going to take another one of these and I'm going to see what the results are. I can't be pregnant. I took another one of those tests and it was positive again, and at this point I was completely shocked because literally a week before I had gotten a false positive pregnancy test. So I didn't believe it at first. I just thought it was another faulty test. It hasn't quite been 3 minutes yet, but the more I think about it, the more nervous I'm getting, and the more my heart is beating, and the more I'm out of breath, so I am going to look. Do you see that? This is really weird. So I took another one. Again, it was positive. So at this point, I thought I should take, you know, a different brand, a real stick maybe, because maybe this whole pack is faulty. So I took another test and it was positive again. And then that's when it really began to sink in. This is really weird and I don't know what to think. So I'm gonna take this one now. I'll be right back. I'm starting to get like really shaky. Do you see this? Oh, I almost don't want to flip it over. I'm scared. That's when I realized that I was pregnant and that this was a real thing. Obviously it wasn't planned, it was not a planned pregnancy, but just because it wasn't a planned pregnancy does not mean that that baby wasn't loved or that we weren't excited. We were so excited. We weren't ready to start trying yet, but we were excited. I took another test later on that day, again, positive. I was just in complete disbelief. I didn't believe that it was actually happening, but it was. And so when Zach came home that day, I had both cameras recording. I recorded the whole thing. His reaction was adorable. He was so excited. I was surprised by how excited he was.
What's that?
And look what Eloise is doing.
What are you doing? What's this? Uh-oh. Oh my. Oopsie. That's awesome. It's exciting.
He doesn't react like he was very excited, but for the next few days he kept telling me how ready he was for another baby and how excited he was to be a dad again, and it made my heart so happy. We were so happy. The next day I took the first bump photo. We started to kind of brainstorm what was going to happen in the next 9 months. We started brainstorming how we were going to tell our parents, when we were going to tell our parents, when we were going to tell you guys. And then a few days later, on Sunday, I think it was the 15th of July, after church, we went to our doctor to get a confirmation of pregnancy. I had already booked the first prenatal appointment for like August sometime, and we were just going in to get like that confirmation of pregnancy so that they could have it on file. They called me in after I took the test and they said it was negative. At this point I just thought that was really weird because I had had 4 positive pregnancy tests only 3 days before this. So I was fairly confident that I was still pregnant. And the doctor seemed confident in it too, so she sent me for blood work to get it tested through blood work. And she just assumed that their test strips were false. So immediately we went straight over to the clinic, we got the blood work taken. We obviously wouldn't get an answer until the next day about whether it was positive or negative. During this whole time I'm starting to worry a little bit more, but I was still fairly positive that I was still pregnant. So when we got home, the first thing I did obviously was take another test, and it came back negative. And as I was taking the test, there was some blood. And I got really, really scared. I waited a couple minutes in the bathroom just waiting for that second line to appear, and it never did. And Zach was outside the bathroom with Eloise just waiting for me. And I just told him we lost the baby. I didn't understand how it could happen so quickly. And the bleeding didn't start immediately either, so I was so confused. So I obviously did a lot of research on it, because what else do you do in that situation? And I read that if your hormone levels are out of whack, like if you're breastfeeding or anything like that, you might have false and positive pregnancy tests and still be pregnant. So I was clinging to that hope that I was still pregnant, but it was false because I was breastfeeding and my hormones were not normal. The next day, first thing in the morning, the bleeding started, and I knew. Then I knew. So today is Wednesday. It's been a few days since we found out the sad news. We're doing better. There's been a lot of crying. I'm just trying not to think about it too much because the more I think about it, obviously, the more emotional I get. It was so early for it to happen, but that baby was very real to us. We have a little baby up in heaven. Don't know why I put makeup on today, because I knew I would cry. We have a little... I can't say it. We have a little angel baby, and even though we never got to hear the heartbeat, or see it on an ultrasound screen, or feel its movements, we will get to see it one day in heaven, and that makes me so happy. Our little baby is up there playing with all of the other unborn babies. And one day we'll get to see them, and that is going to be an amazing day. So for anybody else who is going through a chemical pregnancy or a miscarriage, just know that you are not alone. Know that I'm praying for you and that there are a lot of other women out there who understand how you feel. I hope that whoever watches this who is going through a similar thing, that you know that you are not alone, and that this could have encouraged you in some way to know that you are not alone, and that there are a lot of people praying for you. I'm very thankful that I have such a great support system. I have amazing family. I have an awesome church family, and I have you guys, and for that I'm so thankful. That is our story. I'm gonna end this now because I am just kind of a mess. Thank you guys for watching and for listening, and thank you so much for your kind words and encouragement and support in this time. It really means a lot to us. I hope you guys are having a really great day, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.